Welcome to Bangkok ChitChat. Today is our 100th video. So to help celebrate, I've been left on my own. Unfortunately, Andy is a little bit under the weather at the moment, so he can't join us. So you've got the pleasure of my company for the next 20 minutes. What we're going to be talking about is basically the change in COVID restrictions in Thailand. Also, we'll be talking about the new arrivals and requirements in Thailand, which is just got launched as of November the 1st. And then we'll go on to some of the visas for our residents, some of the things I've experienced because I just renewed my visa, and the vaccines, what's happening next, and basically the feeling for the future. So, as of November the 1st, 63 countries were accepted to be able to visit Thailand. Clearly, if you're from one of these countries, I'm not going to go and give you the list. What you should do is just check what your requirements are when you arrive back, never mind when you just arrive. This is a moving target. So what I suggest is just keep up to date. So this is just an overview today. Yeah? One thing I've noticed is, and I was speaking to some of my Thai friends, and you look at what's happened in the UK and what's happening here and how this relaxation is. Now, the amount of infections has dropped. I think the last figure was around about 7,800 or something like that per day, yeah? Across the whole country. And Thailand has a larger population than the UK. Thailand has about 70 million. That's registered people. So it's not a huge amount. What we're finding is the vaccination program has been rolled out and is being rolled out, and it's really ramping up now. There was an awful lot of complaints before, but in the case of Bangkok, 80% of the population have been double jabbed, and they say, which is impossible, 100% have at least had one jab. Yeah? So if you cut that by maybe about 20%, you're probably roughly in the right figure. But with regards to arriving in Thailand, basically the blue zones have been created, which in some ways is a little bit weird because Bangkok was a dark red zone, suddenly it becomes a blue zone. Obviously, one of the reasons is to appease concerns. Yeah? But what's happened is you've got Bangkok, Phuket, Krabi, and Phang Nga, which are classed as blue zones. So what does that mean? That means basically there's no curfew, and also probably the one that makes the biggest difference to most people is restaurants can open and serve alcohol until 9 p.m. if they have applied and received the safety certificate, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a moment. What I was also surprised at was Pattaya. Pattaya did not come into this blue zone, so they are not being allowed to serve alcohol. I would have thought it would have been the key tourist destinations. However, in another way, yes, if they opened the pubs, maybe there would be a drastic increase of COVID cases. One of the big fears is this Delta Plus virus, where if it hits Thailand, they're concerned that it becomes rife like Delta was in Thailand, and still is on the very far south border provinces. Just now, as I said, there's the curfew has now been lifted. You might say, well, so what? I can't go out anyway, yeah? Or I can only go out for a little while. Well, it does make a difference because I was in a restaurant a couple of weeks ago, and to get a taxi after 10 o'clock or just before 10 o'clock trying to get home was nigh impossible because the taxi drivers had to follow the same curfew. So basically, if you tried to get a taxi at 9:45, unless you went through Uber, etc., they could be caught. Now, I didn't call an Uber, it was a street taxi. But it would an awful lot, it reminded me of before, no, I'm not taking, and eventually I found someone and I said, why did you take me whereas other taxi drivers didn't? I said, because I live up near the area where you come from. So that was part of the reason. Now, pubs, bars, karaoke, shops, and a few others are totally closed. So unless there's food to be purchased, you're not going to get any drinks. Now, reality is that the like common pubs here, like Scruffy's, Robin Hood, that kind of Irish pubs, British pubs, these sort of places, yeah. I'm trying to remember Owen's new bar. Anyway, which is just off Nana. So he's opened an Irish bar. They serve food, so that's why they can open. Right? But it's things like beer bars, places that just sell alcohol. Hemingway's is also open. Yeah, you can get alcohol there. Now the big thing about it is that the restaurants are saying, well, wait a minute, we finish selling alcohol at 9 p.m. What happens if somebody has a drink in front of them? What they've said is that if you've got a drink in front of you at 9 p.m., it'll be put down the sink. Now, can you imagine somebody in a restaurant having food and not being able to drink, but the pubs allowed, the restaurants allowed to open till 11, 12, 1 o'clock, whatever they decide, yeah? But you can't have a drink. It's sort of rather limiting. The reason behind it is they're saying that people become very social, touching, etc. And even with the restrictions of tables, I'm not sure what it is now, but it was 50% of the normal table amount, that they could spread COVID. But what happens if somebody goes in at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock? They can still be stocious by 8 o'clock and still be hugging everybody and everybody's their friend. So there's this misnomer. What they're also trying to push is to push it to 11 p.m. because many restaurants by 10, 11, they're very quiet anyway, because that's normally when people will start going to clubs and things like that. Yeah? So that's one thing that's happened. So with regards to the restaurants, they have to apply for an SHA. It's a Safety and Health Administration Certificate. Now, as I mentioned, this allows them to sell alcohol, but one of the problems that we're having is, just like many of the online systems to do with vaccine registration, etc., it's been crashing. So restaurants haven't been able to download the forms, even though it's been said that over 1,400 applications have been received. So this is one of the pains they've got. But the other pain is that when you get told the night before that you can be opening and serving alcohol, you'd have everybody asking for that alcohol. But a lot of the places need the time to be able to get the stock. And everybody wants the stock at the same time. So if you look at deliveries, so a little favour, government, could you give people a bit more notice so they can plan? And please, as much as possible, unless there's a disaster, stick to the policy rather than opening and closing, because it costs the restaurants a fortune, and also because they've got lost stock. And also, people can't plan, whether it's for business meetings, business to get together, or whatever, and we're trying to increase the economy. Anyway, that's some good news. Yeah? Some good news from the point of view of that we can actually go out. Yeah? With regards to new arrivals, as I said, things have opened up since November 1st. And they're predicting by the end of this year, which is November, December, yeah, they'll have 600,000 passengers arriving. So this is changing all the time, because the latest figure I got was 24,200 passengers per day. But that included local and international flights. So the other point is international flights are coming in, but also local airports. I understand Krabi is not the case, yeah? But other airports are now open, so you can travel around the country. So this is in comparison to January to September, where we had a total of 85,000 people coming in. So as I mentioned, 90% are reported to be people who are returning for business or returning to be with a family, and 10% is tourists. Now, another thing is when you come to the airport, what we're hearing just now is a shortage of transport. Now, they have mentioned it's sort of transport buses, the mini buses that take you down to Pattaya or Hua Hin and things like that. Yeah, but I also suspect that's also with regards to taxis, because the taxis, the cost of taking a taxi just now, with people still working a lot from home, yeah, they're not making enough money. the taxi driver I was speaking to the other day, he said he was lucky if he made 300 baht, which is a bit different from before, where they basically controlled things. And he was very pleasant, by the way. So what I've also got in here is a link for people who are looking to arrive in Thailand. So you can look at all the requirements. Requirements have been eased with regards to getting your certificate of origination that you've had the vaccine. So they have a new thing called Thailand Pass, yeah, which involves getting this from the embassy, and then when you arrive, your QR code is scanned, yeah. But what you also have to understand is that you will have to have a 50,000 US per person insurance coverage of some kind, no matter where you're coming from. And then you will have to stay one night at an ASQ or SHA hotel while your RT-PCR test is processed, which I understand that you have to buy. For people who are arriving here, you may agree or disagree with the principle, but wearing masks is not so much mandatory. It's probably a better word to say is expected. Thai people are extremely fearful of it. In companies, you have to give evidence to go to that company that you've had your double vaccinated. You'll have to wear a mask all the time. So basically what I'm saying is don't object to it, because it's not going to be welcomed. On buses and things, basically in the UK, they're encouraging people to wear masks. Yeah, basically people will come up and they will turn around and say, please wear your mask. Yeah. Don't get in an argument. It's the wrong thing to do in Thailand. You'll get some smart arse giving you a smack, yeah, and then everybody else joins in. But really, it is serious. Wear your mask when you're out in the public, basically, and even in your hotel when you're outside your room, wear your mask. Now, I must admit, it's going to be a bit embarrassing if you go sunbathing with a mask on and you've got this big white area left when you go home, yeah. But maybe you're going to have to book a solarium or something like that when you get back, just to fill in the gaps, yeah. But I think you'll be okay lying on the beach without a mask, yeah. And you can't drink a beer with a mask on. Anyway, the general sentiment out there in Thailand is really quite positive. And I think even though there was an awful lot of initial sort of discussions about how ineffective the government was, the vaccines and things, overall, I think they've done a very good job. And they're continuing to do a good job. It was slow to start. It was frustrating. A lot of foreigners felt that they were being ignored, but with the help of the different chambers and the different hospitals, I thought it's been very, very, very well organised. Yeah? When I went to get my two vaccines, it was very professional. Everyone was so polite. It took maybe 15 minutes to go through, and then you had a waiting area. But I was very impressed. I'm not sure if it's the case with all the places, but it was very, very good. But like everything else, if you don't have your documentation correct, they're going to say no. And they were very strict on that, because I got refused the first time I went because I had the wrong certificate that I needed. So they sent me away to get it again, but they processed everything within the next day or so. So I was very happy. Another thing, within the business environment, I feel that the business environment is far better than it was, let's say, 2 weeks, a month ago. I hear friends and associates, and even within my business, there's people are more proactive. They're starting with the outlook of 2022, that to build their business. So whether it's my key business is video production, online marketing, web development, that kind of area, and we've had an awful lot more inquiries and new business coming in. And I've heard from these people and other friends that they're getting more inquiries for their business. So certainly the pain is not over, but there's a more positive sentiment within the business community, and also with people. I've been away. I've taken advantage of great promotions where the Thai government pays for a percentage of food you buy when you go on holiday or something like that. And also maybe you're going on, or even locally in your local market, if they've registered, maybe they'll pay, I think it's up to 40, is it 40, 50%? Yeah. 40, 50% of that. So basically if it's 100 baht, you pay 50 baht and the government, and you do it through an app, yeah? And the government pays the remainder back to the vendor. Yeah? Hotels, amazing deals, and I'm sure there still is. For a hotel, we would probably maybe pay 3,500 baht per night. We're getting for maybe 1,500 baht per night, yeah, including breakfast. So there's some really good deals out there. Now, the caveat to that is it's only for Thais. Now, why did I get it? Because my wife did it. Quite simple, yeah. So as a tourist, there's still fantastic deals out there, but you have to go through the traditional routes. So that's how they've been sort of supporting the market. What we're also finding is businesses that had their staff working in an office are slowly bringing them back. Now, I quite understand, because I've called certain companies on certain things, and you call up and they say, oh, sorry, they're working from home. So? Shouldn't they be transferring me, or within their PABX system, having some link to transfer to the mobile or passing the message on? Yeah. So I think some businesses have been hurt with that. Yeah. But what I'd say is that there's going to be some pains for transitioning it back to coming to the office, or they're going to allow people to work from home. Now, for my business, I have encouraged people to work from home, and I actually think it works better, because they don't need to travel so much, and I can video conference, etc., and manage it that way. But there's no doubt you need to have people in once, twice a week so they feel part of the organization. Yeah? Otherwise, you don't have what's very important to the Thai, or anyone for that matter, is that social interaction. Okay, so on the immigration front, on visas, yeah, as I said, I went to get my visa, and what happened was I arrived at immigration in Changwatana, yeah, and I arrived and I got a ticket, and with that ticket, yeah, I went to go in and because they had an area to check people, and they said come back. I got there at 10, come back at 2 o'clock, and I went. So this ticketing system was very, very good, because what they would do, they could actually SMS you on the system to tell you it's time to come back. And you could check on the app, you say, what number is it now? So what I did is, okay, it was lucky for me, I had my own transport. I just went home. Well, I didn't, I went back to the office. And then I came back nearer the time. So I wasn't sitting around for 3-4 hours. So it was very organized. We got there, we passed all the documents across. They were very, very clear, tick, 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 tick. That's all they do, check boxes, you don't have it, come back, go and get it. So we didn't have one document, or there was one page of the passport which hadn't been photocopied. So we went away, and we came back a day, 2 days later, and we walked in. Within 20 minutes, we were in there. It was stamped, everything was done, and we were out. So please, immigration, can you keep the same system? Because it is very, very efficient. If you have a non-immigrant O visa, which is a married visa, you have to supply a tax receipt. I believe you have to do the same with a non-immigrant B visa. This is normally for people who are either married and or working here. Normally, you can go along and get this tax receipt, the tax receipt to say you paid tax for this period of time, etc., within an hour. Yeah, that was the normal. This time, 2 weeks. Now, if you don't get it and you leave it to the last minute, that means that 2 weeks means you've overstayed because you can't get your new visa. So my recommendation to anyone is plan this well ahead, get all the documentation well ahead. Another thing you'll probably need, especially for O visa, you need to have your evidence of 400,000 baht in your account for 3 months. That means you've got to get a letter from your bank as a statement, and you get the bank statement Once you have that, which from the bank, which is probably around about 200 baht, then on the day of going to immigration, make sure you go to one of the machines and do a transfer and update your passbook. Then take a photocopy of that on that day. They're being very, very strict on people having the right amount of money for the right period of time. So that was my experience, and I thought it was all very efficient. Yeah? And then, of course, you have to wait for a period till you get your passport back and the stamp. Yeah? The other thing you should look at is if you're a long-term resident, go for your residence permit, or if you're married with kids, look at going for your citizenship. But that is related to quotas. So that was the Bangkok vaccination. That's all immigration. That's really it. But just to give an idea of what could happen in the near future, I think there's going to be an upsurge in cases temporarily, simply because there may be a new variant coming in. Does that mean they're going to change things back again? I very much hope not, and I don't think they will. For people who are looking to come here, if you're looking to have party time, don't come, right? Because there's no parties. If you're here to family, sedate, see friends and things like that, great time to be here. You can get around places. It's cheaper than probably ever it will be, at least for the past 10 years. Yeah, and all the tourist areas are not chock-a-block. So a lot of tourist sites are open. Yeah. And we're not sure about the national parks, but things are open like the Grand Palace, etc. You can still have a great time. So if you're on that level, come. For the investment, they're looking at new investments where if you invest so much money or bring so much money into Thailand, you can buy land and a condo and all this stuff. But there's a whole lot of talk. But the new target market is family and the rich. Yeah. I think that's unsustainable. I think you have to be looking at a cross-section and not cutting anyone out. But I can understand where they're trying to change the image of Thailand, because quite honestly, any foreigner that comes here, if you want to see it, you're going to see it. If you don't want to see it, you just won't see it, because you have to be looking for it, especially in Bangkok. Yeah. Two-tier pricing, that's a hot topic. Richard Barrow, well done. He's been lobbying on this, and I hope there's a change, along with a whole lot of things to do with this, pardon my language, dumbass 90-day report, where still you have to physically go and do a 90-day report because the online system does not work to apply, but you can send by post. But it's a misnomer to me, because you're having to go with all these chairs, separated, but when you walk in the place, you're walking along maybe a 1.5 meter wide step past each other. It just doesn't make any sense to me, and you're having to travel and wait for 2 or 3 hours where you should be able to use the online system. But there's one change I hope they will actually make, and also with regards to land ownership and making things easier for people, for retiral people, etc. But as we know, lip service is lovely, but there's very rarely any action. So if you're looking for changes quickly on these, let's say, residential issues, don't hold your breath. I'm not confident in the changes. Okay, so that's really all I've got today. I hope I didn't bore you. I haven't got Andy here to give me inspiration. But what we've got coming up, we've got a special interview with a gentleman who's a journalist. And he is not just a journalist, he actually looks at all the, like Afghanistan, Burma, and all the areas where there have been issues, let's say. And I'll be talking to him about himself and what he's been doing. And of course, we'll have the Pattaya and Hua Hin reports coming up with Craig and Richard. So look forward to that. Let's see, how November the 1st, it's only a few days, since November the 1st. So let's just see how that goes. And I hope to see you later. If you haven't, please subscribe, press that notification button, and we'll bring you updates as and when there is. And obviously, we're going to be trying a lot of new things in 2022. I'll see you later. Thanks very much. Bye.